So for this look we're going to be doing two different faces, and the idea behind it is that each side of the face represents a different possible outcome. One side of it represents a happy future and one side represents a slightly terrifying future. So depending on what side of the face is facing you, that's your future. Taking a little bit of primer, I'm going to blend that all over the lid, just on one lid. And then I'm going to move on to blusher, and I'm going to use a peachy pink colour and blend that all over the apples of the cheeks and a little bit along the cheekbone. Once the blush is blended out, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my brows. And I'm going to be using a nail art brush for this and a black eyeshadow, but just applying it very lightly. Once they're filled in, we're going to move on to the lips, and I'm going to be using a mulberry lip liner and just filling in the whole lip, slightly over outlining them just a little bit. And once the whole lip is completely filled in, I'm going to move into a pout paint, and I'm going to be using the colour Port. And the problem with these is that they bleed quite a lot, so you need a tiny amount of it, but for this look I'm actually going to apply way too much and then just blot the side of the face that needs to look all happy and smiley and like a good future. We're going to blot that so that it doesn't bleed. Then for the eyes, I'm going to take the exact same blusher that I used on the cheeks, before taking a very pale brown just on the outer corner of the eye. And then with a black eyeshadow, starting in the inner corner of the eye and lining the eye. Once I've lined the eye and created a little wing, I'm going to take whatever's left on the brush and just rub it into the lower lashes. Once that's all blended out, I'm going to take Lumi and just place it down the centre of the lid and blend it out with my finger, but you can use a brush as well if that's what you prefer. Then taking Lumi again, I'm going to use it as a highlighter, and starting just underneath the brow bone, we're going to draw an S shape down the face and blend it out, before lining the inner corner of the eye just a little bit more, and then placing a little bit of Lumi just underneath the inner corner. Once I've done that, I'm going to finish off with a little bit of mascara on the lower lashes, and then some false lashes before moving on to the opposite side of the face. This is the part where we get to mess up the other side of the face, so we're going to take a lip brush and just make it look as if it's bleeding, and then blend it a little bit with our fingers, but just smudge it really roughly, particularly on the outer corner. And if you can, just try and drag that lip colour right up so that it almost looks like small little veins. For this eye we're not going to be using any primer and just going straight ahead and using a brown, blending it all over the lid and blending it out. You want to make sure that you really blend it in the inner corner upwards and a little bit on the outer corner as well to make the eye look really irritated and bloated. Then with a black eyeshadow I'm going to really roughly run it along the lash line. And don't be neat with this at all, you've got to be very messy. Whatever's left on your brush, you just want to run it along the lower lashes. Then with a black eyeliner, you're going to line the waterline, and we're going to make it look as if the character on this side of the face has been crying a little bit. So you're going to blend it, and then very lightly draw some very faint lines and blend them out with your fingers. Don't make it too rough, it's got to look like it dripped from your eye because you were crying or something. Don't let it look too harsh and drawn on. Over that I'm going to be layering Lumi, bringing the colour down, and then I'm going to really roughly just make some very rough jagged shapes all leading up from the lips, before filling them in with eyeshadow, but we're going to fill them in more later. The important part now is just to clean them up, before taking the white eyeliner and drawing all these cracks stemming from it. And once you've done that, just go over it and thicken the black eyeshadow so that it looks really dark and not faded. I'm going to finish off with a little bit of Vaseline all over the upper lid and drawing a few lines down from the lower lid just to make it look as if the character is crying. And that's it, you're done.